Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our session. Today, we'll speak about how to engage with your customers with Google Pay beyond payments. First of all, we'd like to say thank you so much for being here. We know it's not so easy at this time of the day, right? You're about to head back, so we really appreciate that. We'd like to say hi as well to all of you watching us from the live stream. My name is Jose, and I'm a developer programs engineer on the Google Pay team. And together with me is...
Hi, everyone. My name is Mailys, and I'm the product manager for Google Pay Passes.
So we truly believe that we have a valuable, insightful, and actionable session today. We'll go all the way from the progress that we have made since last year. We'll talk to you about new features that build on what we offer already through the Passes API. And finally, we'll look back a bit into experience to see what things can we learn. So if you are starting to integrate the API now, you can learn from what we have found out by developing the product, but also what other partners have seen, so you don't have to go through that hassle. And this session is filled with demos. So this is good for you, we believe, for two reasons. First one is you're going to get to see how things look like really before you actually implement them. The second reason is there are many chances for us, there's many chances that some things may go wrong, so you will probably have some fun along the way. So what do we mean when we say the Google API for Passes? We're speaking about what's left in your wallet once we have covered payments, right? And we want to help you and help your customers digitalize that. We're speaking about boarding passes, event tickets, and loyalty cards. Now, why this is good? Well, first of all, we're not only taking weight out of your pockets and space, but we also benefit from the goodness of technology, right? So if you had many, many, many cards, then it's probably hard to just keep them all in your wallet. At the same time, we can add some additional features on top of it, like, for example, showing your customers their loyalty cards or their gift cards wherever they need them, right, with things like location-based updates or information. We'll talk about these three categories today, and we'll have new features on each of those as well. And this is just one example, a subset of the partners that have worked with us recently and that have integrated the Google Pay API for Passes. We have success stories for these partners. As you can see, they are in these 5 categories. Concretely, we'd like to tell you more about 3 of them, so you can probably get inspiration from that. So the first of all is Lufthansa, one of the world's largest airlines, which integrated the Google Pay API for Passes in 4 different channels, through SMS, email, mobile application, and website. And they just did that in a few weeks. So as you can read right in there, the integration for them was easy and quick, right? That was one of the highlights for them, which is something that Ryanair shares as well. Ryanair, as many of you probably know, is one of the airlines that changed the way we fly in Europe. So for them, on top of how easy it is and how quick it is to integrate the API, they highlighted and they wanted to share with us how open our team was to extend the API to include new functionality, and as well how flexible it was to fit their use case. Finally, Japan Airlines, with their very particular and very forward-looking vision of smart airports, in which the Google Pay API for Passes and the ability to digitalize those passes and make them available to their customers on their devices was a crucial part of that. Now, we'd like to give you more specific numbers. We have 2 use cases. We have 2 case studies from 2 of our partners, and we would like to share with you some success metrics that they saw, actually. The first of them is Europcar, one of the leading car rental companies in Europe. And as you can see from Europcar's head of loyalty and brand, Anne's words, for them it was a natural step to think about digitalizing their passes. With the uplift that they saw in their mobile usage, it made sense for them to give their customers a chance to have those passes on their devices. So with the help of Captain Wallet, the company that helped them build the backbone of their integration, they turned their privileged loyalty card into digital. They brought it to the digital world. They took the atoms into bits. But what they saw, as you can see, were great results. They got up to a 90% digitization rate on their customers, on that loyalty card. And amongst those customers, 70% were so satisfied with that card that they don't want to go back to the physical card.
So this second case study is from Multikino, which is one of the largest cinema chain in Poland. And Multikino implemented the full Google Pay solution, from letting their users pay online for cinema tickets to saving them in the Google Pay app. And what they've noticed is for users that have their tickets saved in Google Pay compared to users that are using paper, the check-in into the cinema was 4 seconds faster, which had a huge impact on their business because it would just remove a lot of queues and waiting time for users. Also, the month-on-month growth of people saving those passes were 2x after launch, showing that users really liked it. And generally speaking, they found that it's a great way to communicate with their user through the API, with updates, and just notifications. So we've covered testimonies from partners on the loyalty side, cinema ticket, flights. But now we kind of want to show you what is new, which is probably why you came here today. So first, we want to make passes accessible easily to users. They should be informational, and they should be just available there in one click as soon as the user needs it. So to go through the first set of features that we have for you today, we actually are going to use José's personal experience. So José, do you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, I have to confess that I have a bit of a bad reputation with my friends because I've missed some flights in the past. I keep on telling them that it's not really my fault because, some things just can go wrong. They're out of my control, but I guess it's not really helping. You know how it really works, right? You have to book a ticket, then at some point you will check in, which is different for different airlines, and it doesn't get any better once you get into the airport. You have the stress of the check-in, and it gets even worse if there are things changing, like your boarding time or your boarding gate changes. So I actually know that we have some features that are going to help me with that, so why don't we just share them with the audience?
Yeah, so how can we help people like José and just generally people to make the travel experience faster and nicer and less stressful? So we really believe that using the Google ecosystem can really help us building strong user experience, so to remove the stress and the process, and so users can really focus on what matters to them. So this first feature was announced at CES earlier this year, and is the flight check-in through the Google Assistant. The way it works is, as a user, when I'm ready to check in, I will get a notification. That notification will bring me to the user assistant. In a few clicks, I can complete the check-in. It's really simple. And then at the end of it, I get a boarding pass that I can access later. The reason why we are talking about this feature also at this Google Pay Passes session is because the API to get the boarding pass is reusing the Google Pay API, meaning that as a developer, if you already implemented the Passes API to let your users save your boarding pass from your website or your app, this is just incremental work. So you just have to implement the check-in part with the assistant, and you will get both features. So this is launching right now with United, and we also have Vueling and Lufthansa integrating and launching soon. But I've just said like it's simple, but how about we just see it for real?
Actually, this is really convenient because my flight is just taking off in a couple of days. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to go ahead and check in into my flight. So I'm going to go to my Pixel 3, and I'm going to open the assistant. I'm going to ask it to show my flights. Show my flights. So as you can see, once this loads, I'll see my card for my upcoming flight, right? And if you look a bit below in one of the chips, we have the option to check in right in there. So I'm just going to take that. Great. So I'm just going to be asked a few questions in this really nice conversational style that you already know about Assistant. I'm going to say yes, I'm ready to check in. Then I'm going to be asked, again, I'm going to go through the process of check-in, which may vary per airline. I usually travel light, so I have no bags with me. It makes it easier. I really hate to wait at the belt when I'm in the destination airport. Now, I think I don't have anything that is forbidden, so I should be good to go. I'll confirm in here. And once this responds, then what you will see is that the process is now done. But actually, my favorite part of this is that I'm not only already checked in, so I can forget about that and enjoy the rest of I/O, even though it's not too much, but I can also show my boarding pass, right? So you can see how close to me is this right now. Actually, I'm going to show my flights again. Show my flights. Or maybe, if we get proper connectivity, show my flights. Let's see if that works. There you go. So you see I have my boarding pass right in there. So the Google Pay API, so the Google Pay application is opening and it's showing my pass right away. You saw that it took me maybe 2 attempts, but it was just 1 tap away, right? So when I'm on the airport, this really helps me save time. So with that, let's get back to the slides.
So this is great before your flight, but how about once you're at the airport? And the airport is usually a really stressful moment because I have to think about my luggage, maybe my kids, I have to go through a lot of checks. So I don't want to think about just accessing my papers or my boarding pass. It has to be available just there when I need it. So this is why we launched earlier this year high priority notifications. So those are persistent notifications that are on your screen 3 hours before your flight takes off, and that can be used to go back and forth to your boarding pass in 1 click. So when I'm there, just 1 click, I go to my notification, to my boarding pass, and then I can come back, and it's already be there for me. This doesn't come at any extra implementation cost. It's just there with the API. And if you also have event ticket, we have the same notification for events. And this will be dismissed automatically when my flight takes on, or also you can manually dismiss it as a user. The second thing that is really stressful is last-minute changes. So I'm at the airport and my gate changes or my flight is delayed. I don't want to have to look at the screen all the time to see if something changed. So we also have status notification updates. So if something is delayed or if my gate changes, the airline can send a push update to the API and will send the notification to all the users that have that boarding pass. Meaning that for me, as a user, just all the updates are just there in my phone. No need to check anything else. So to recap, boarding pass available 1 click away or even 1 slide away because the barcode is also inline in the notification, so you can either use that to board your plane or access your event.
And that's great for airline passengers, for airlines as well. But hey, we use different forms of transportation to move around, right? It's not that we move all the time using planes. We're really, really happy to tell you about that recently we opened up part of our APIs to support transit tickets as well. And it works really similar to what you have seen now for boarding passes, right? So you're able to, first of all, digitalize tickets, but also you can associate barcodes, like QR codes, to that ticket. And on top of that, as you just saw for flights, we're able to create notifications based on updates that happen in real time, coming from your end. Now, similar to the boarding passes, once again, we'll have a high priority notification showing up this time 1 hour before my trip begins, right? So I have my ticket right there to access it whenever I need it. Eurostar has been the first partner to launch with us using the Google Pay API for passes, but LNER and Russian Railways will be coming soon later this year. Here you can see how it actually looks like. This is a transit ticket from Eurostar. So if you're actually going to or from London, Paris, or Brussels, you can just go ahead and try it out for yourself right now. Oh, I see, yeah. I understand that we are a bit far away from those cities, so I guess you have no motivation to go and book a train for those places, being 6,000 kilometers away. Well, fair enough. We have a demo ready for you. Mailys is just going to show you how it looked like if you did it.
So going to the Pixel phone. So I used to live a year ago in London, and in case you haven't noticed before, I'm French. So going back to Paris was something I would do often to see my family. And Eurostar is just a convenient way to do that. So I'm just going to book my next trip. So opening the Eurostar app, going to book my next journey. I think in a week time sounds good, so let's just pick the trains. So I have a nice promo here, so let's just do standard Premier. And then, yeah, return 8:13 is good. So I booked my trains, now going to the checkout. So on the checkout page, as you can see, we have the Google Pay option to purchase the tickets, which is great because I don't have to input my credit card details here. So that's faster, and also I know it's secured. So I'm just going to go ahead and buy with Google Pay. So here I can also change my card details if I want. In this case, I will just continue with this one. And then confirming the booking. And my payment was accepted. I have my ticket. So I can now download my ticket. So here I see a button, Google Pay Save to Phone, where I can save my ticket. Now, this trip is in a week, so at this point of time, I might not have time to save my ticket, or I might want to save them later. So let's just ignore that for now. Now, going fast forward a week. Now, this is really close to my trip, so I might want to save my ticket as well. So I might not want to go back to the app, or I forgot about it, but Eurostar also sent me an email for my reservation. So I'm just going to open this, so I can see my tickets, and I also have the save button here as well, which is great because I want to save them right now. So I'm just going to save the first one. Oops. So just going back to the email and saving it. So I get a confirmation screen to save my ticket, so saving. And then I can see my ticket in the Google Pay app, where I can access it. And as Jose mentioned earlier, I will also get a notification an hour before my train starts, so I will be able to access my pass from there as well. So going back to the slides. So this is for static barcodes, something that might not update all the time. But we are also working on enhancing this API to support dynamic visuals and dynamic barcode or QR codes. What a dynamic barcode is a barcode that will update every couple of seconds, even if the device is offline. And what that really means is more security, because somehow if someone was able to take a picture of my pass or just replicate it, this pass would only be valid for the next couple of seconds, because after that, this pass will also update the barcode again, and it's much harder to commit fraud. So we are working on this right now. It will be available before the end of the year. And we are working with Token Transit, which is a company that provides tickets and other services to transit agencies to integrate this with them. And the same as for boarding pass, we really think that utilizing the Google's ecosystem can help us building great user experience. And when we're talking about transit, the first Google app that I can think about is Maps, because this is where I'm going to start my journey. So when I want to go somewhere, I'm just going to open Maps and search for the best itinerary to go somewhere. So we are adding a feature to purchase tickets and save those tickets in Google Pay from Maps. So from a user perspective, I can just do my whole journey from searching for my itinerary to redeeming the ticket from Google Pay at the transit agencies in one go. So this is first. This actually has launched already in Melbourne, Australia, with LTT data and Public Transport Victoria for the Mikey card. And we are just going to show you how it works.
So let's do a little exercise, an exercise of imagination. So just come with me. Let's teleport our minds and our bodies all the way into Australia. We're going to Melbourne. Imagine, like, really all of us. It's a bunch of people. So we are there. We have been spending the day just checking out some places. And now it's a bit late in the evening. We're a bit tired. We're hungry. So we want to go to a specific place that we were recommended, right? So what do we typically do when we are in this situation? Well, we go ahead and we open Google Maps, right? You probably are doing already today dozens of time. So the place that we're going to go to is near to the town hall. So why don't we go ahead and select that place. We are right now in the zoo. So this is our origin point. Now, as you can see, you probably have seen this screen many times. We'll get a few options. We'll go for the first one. It takes us 29 minutes to get there. So let's go ahead and select it. And now, probably you see something new, right, at the top. I have the option to add or use my Mikey card, right where I need it, right on the detailed view of the planning of my route. Since I don't have a car, I'm going to go ahead and create it right now as we speak. So we're just going to be there for a few more seconds. So why don't we go ahead and get the prepaid card? There you go. I'm going to go for the full fare. And now, on my payment method, I select my payment option. I'm going to top up 10 Australian dollars. I think that's going to be enough for all of us, probably. So I'm going to continue. And as I purchase, then I'm going to see that reflected. Now, as we get back to Google Maps, we're going to see that reflected next to the route where I just saw my Mikey card for the first time. Now, you saw that this was the first time I did that, so it was a process to buy it. It was still really quick. But now, once I already have it, and if I go back to Google Maps, this is going to show up in there, and it's going to show my current balance. So all I have to do is just get close to an appliance, tap with my phone, and then off I go, right? So this felt probably pretty straightforward, but what I would like us to do is just take a step back and compare that to the way we have been doing things so far. So after finding the route that we want to go through, we normally had to get out of our application, right? And find another application to buy the ticket, or a website. Or even worse, we had to look in the physical space to see if there were some appliances to buy a ticket. So you can see how with integrations like this, the life of your customers, but also your lives, is going to be much, much simpler. So if we could go back to the slides, please. I'd like to tell you about, so this was like for Melbourne in Australia. But this is just the beginning. We're building a similar integration in Japan with Suica and JR East. Suica is an e-money prepaid card that allows you to pay on buses, on the subway, in trains, and in shops. So if you live in Japan or you go there often, stay tuned because we'll have more updates later this year. Now, we have spoken about transit and about airlines, but what's there for all of you who want to engage with your customers a bit more to create longer-lasting relationships? So, for example, a loyalty program, right? We think you'll be really happy to hear that we're just making your life easier in terms of accessibility and discoverability of those loyalty cards. Because I'm sure it has happened to you that maybe you got new signups into your loyalty program, but then your customers may have transacted once or twice, and maybe they didn't do it anymore. It can be that they were not interested anymore, but it's also likely that they simply forgot about it. Or the email you send them is just below a pile of dozens of emails, so they cannot find it anymore, right? So we added the ability to import loyalty cards automatically from Gmail. So all your customers will have to do is simply open the Google Pay app, accept the consent screen, and then they will get all the loyalty cards automatically imported. And you'll probably be happier to hear that the integration, what it takes from your end, is just really little, almost effortless. All you need to do is add markup to your email so that our parser can just find those cards and add them to your customer's Google's account. We promised that the theme of this session was going to be showing things live. So how about we stop saying and then we start doing? So Mailys, you want to show us that this works?
Yes. So going to the pixel. So here I have my Google Pay app. And there are a few ways to trigger this. So if you have object in Gmail already, you should see a consent screen, but you can also trigger this feature manually for later. So in the settings, you can go to General, and you'll find the Gmail import settings. So this is the consent screen. So I'm just going to connect my Google Pay to Gmail. It's connecting, and it found 3 passes. So United, so that's the one that are marked with a little mail. So we have a Coles reward, National Car Rental, and United Airlines. So you can see that now I can see my number for United. It's pretty easy. I can even see the email that were used to trigger that card in case I want more information. So this is working right now only for loyalty, but we will be working on extending it to other types of passes. And also, as Jose mentioned, as a merchant, if you want to make sure that your details get parsed into Google Pay, it's just few lines of HTML to add to your email. And we'll have this ready in our documentation, which is public. So it's something you can do really easily. So going back to the slides. And this is really useful for your existing users. But how about new users? So an option that we have in our passes documentation for loyalty is the option to add, a sign-up option for a new account. So as a developer, you can enable that option, and then in Google Pay, when users manually add passes, if they look for your brand or your store, they will see that option to sign up. So the way it works is we show a screen that is configurable by you, so you can tell us which user detail you need to create loyalty, so first name, last name, maybe the zip code or an email address. Then clicking on the button will bring you to your website where you can create that loyalty program. And then you will send it back to Google Pay where the user can see their newly created loyalty. So from there, you have You can access to the users, so you can send them updates on the loyalty points. And it's even something that you can, for example, offer in store, where if you ask the user to sign up for something in store, they can just have a new program in a few clicks, and then they already have their loyalty card ready, and they can scan it and just start collecting points and everything. And last but not least, we heard you last year. So this is all great, but like, what if my users don't have the Google Pay app installed? Well, good news, we are working on this. So starting with boarding pass, event tickets, and extending later to other types of passes, we are working on making those passes available even if the user doesn't have the Google Pay app. And the first iteration of that will be through web views. So if the user doesn't have Google Pay, we'll still render a web view of their boarding pass. So an example of entry point, for example, is the assistant. And this feature will launch in a month or two, so really soon. And the way it works is I can ask, once I save my boarding pass, I can ask the assistant, hey, Google, show me my boarding pass. And then I have a chip there to see my boarding pass. If I click on the chip, if Google Pay is installed, it will, of course, open Google Pay. But if it's not installed, we will open a web view. So how about we also demo it?
Yeah, and also in the past, I've gotten this wrong a few times, as you know. So I just checked in, but hey, I would rather double check and make sure that my boarding pass is there. I don't want to find that out when I'm at the airport. So let's go to my iPhone this time. I'm going to show you how to do this now from the assistant on my iPhone. So I'm going to open the assistant, show my flights. So I'm just going to retrieve the same flight that I checked in for a second ago. And as you can see, this time in the chips below, I don't see the check-in option anymore. That's good news. I'm checked in already. But I can see the boarding pass, right? So I can open it right from there. And there you go. It will load directly on this web view, right? So similar experience now on my iOS device. So let's go back to the slides. And just take a step back and recap. We have talked about a number of features. We'd like to just summarize them up, looking at them from two different points of view. First of all, what do you get when you integrate the Google Pay API for passes? Well, first of all is you will digitalize your pass. That is, your customers will be able to have access from their devices to their boarding passes, loyalty cards, and tickets. With that one-click access that you just saw a second ago on the assistant on my iPhone. You also get the ability to update your passes. That is, that will generate notifications as well that will inform your users what to do best, how to react, right? Especially when they are in stressful situations. Finally, if you remember, we had the high priority notifications that will give me access to my pass right away from my notification whenever I need it. From a different perspective now, let's look at it from what things can we add to the API, what functionality can we add to our customers as well, just with very minimal effort. Well, first one is, as you saw, just by adding email markup to your emails, then Gmail will be able to import automatically those passes for your customers into the Google Pay app. Second, you can allow users to sign up directly from the Google Pay app, so they don't have to leave their application, right? Which you know will cause more friction. Finally, on integrating cross-product within other other parts of the platform in Google or other products, you just saw how we integrated the Mikey card on Google Maps right where you need it, or how you can check in with the assistant for your flights. So this is what we had in terms of new features. We also talked about the momentum before, right? In the last section of this talk, we would like to talk about some best practices, tips and tricks that we have learned through our experience, developing the product and talking to our partners, so that you don't have to go through that hassle again. We have two tips on the button. The button is that gateway into digitalizing your pass that we have seen already a few times, right? We strongly recommend you to build a button that goes directly to the pass. No intermediate screens. If you can avoid it, if you can avoid extra latency, do that too, because that will generate drop-offs and reduce your conversions. Second, you can put many passes behind one single button. So for those use cases like multi-leg flights or bookings with many tickets, like for example, when you go with your family or friends to the cinema or the theater, you can just put one button behind that and that will take care of generating all those passes. Now, from a UI UX perspective, right, there are two more tips that we would like to share with you. First is that you don't have to worry about the styling of the button because we help you do that. We have JavaScript libraries for the web and graphic assets for your mobile applications, so you can just take them, import them, and just add them. Based on how your application looks like, you can choose between the light and the dark themes, right? The second is make sure you choose the context that it's right for your application. What we mean with that is that you want your users to know that when they click that button, they're going to digitalize the path that you're showing on top. This can be a matter of colors, backgrounds, frames, and shapes, but also about bits of information, like you can see in this example.
And then update your passes. So the power of digital passes is that they are digital, so they can be updated in real time at any time. So compared to a paper, if a user just gets new points, you can reflect it right away on the pass. If they got a new seat upgrade in their plane or transit, that's something you can show. If they got a new airline tier, you can change the color, you can make it look different so the user feel like they achieved something. And there's no need to reprint any paper or reissue any plastic cards. It's just there. And also, I will show you earlier, any important updates will also trigger notification. So that's why it's really important that any updates that you have, you can just send them to the API and we'll update those objects for the user. And finally, use all the channels. So have you seen it in the Eurostar demo or with Lufthansa, who's using a lot of saving channel? It's important that the user find the button where they need to find it. And that place could be different depending on where they are in the flow for like the purchase and the save. So it could be in the website, could be in your app, in an email, or an SMS. So it's important that they can find the button anywhere. So once they're ready to save it, they can find it. So you increase UCTA. So this is an example also for event tickets where you can put the button in the tickets, but also after the purchase confirmation.
Finally, to wrap it up, we'd like to leave you with 3 call to actions. We said before that we wanted this to be an actionable session. So based on maybe how you feel right now, we hope we have 3 really good links for you. We hope we are on target. First of all, if what you heard makes sense, this sounds good to you, but you will want to find out more, you want to check out documentation, read the reference API, see more tips and tricks maybe, just use the first link, go to g.co/page/passes to see more of what we have told you already. If otherwise you're already ready to go, maybe, you're good to implement the API and digitalize some tickets, passes, and loyalty cards, well, then use the second one, g.co/page/passes sign up, to create a merchant account and start calling the APIs right away. Third, if you would like to hear more about us, more use cases, maybe more tips and tricks, maybe more information about our partners, just use the third link, g.co/page/stay tuned. And speaking of staying tuned, we would like to let you know more about an event that we'll be running later this year in September in London, which is going to be exclusively about Google Pay. It's called the Google Pay Developers Life. So if you want to see more use cases, case studies, you want to see more best practices, you want to hear from our partners directly, make sure to check out that link in there, and we'll get back in touch with you. g.co/pay/live 2019. Finally, we hope we added value to you today. If you have questions or issues, we'd love to hear from you. We're just across the boardwalk. We're in Dome A together with the web team. And we have a team there. We have a team of people there who will be willing to really hear your stories, your issues, and see if they can help you. For those of you joining us from the live stream, or for all these people from the future watching us from YouTube, use that link in there to get started with the Google Pay API for passes and hear more from us. Finally, we really hope that was useful to you. We hope we gave you good examples of what you can do with these APIs and how you can apply that to your businesses to make the life of your customers simpler and easier. We would like to thank you so much for spending this 40 minutes of your life with us, and we'll hope to see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.